In our universe, there is a star that is older than the universe itself. This is Methuselah. The age of the universe is 13.82 billion years, but Methuselah is 1460 billion years old. Located 202 light-years away, his discovery revolutionized the theory of the Big Bang. Astronomers can't imagine what a star that existed before the universe was born should look like. And cosmologists can't imagine what would happen if the Big Bang theory got it wrong. So now there are only two paths for newcomers to Methuselah. Either the Big Bang theory is wrong, either Methuselah's new age is a problem. The current scientific community generally favors the latter. In current models of stellar evolution, Methuselah anomaly, he belongs to the sub-superstar. He doesn't look like a sleeping beast. But the hydrogen inside it is indeed transforming into harmful elements. As a result, astronomers couldn't find his location on the crane maps that classify the types of stars. From the data currently available, Methuselah's mass and surface temperature are comparable to that of the Sun, a yellow dwarf star, but it's 4 times brighter than the Sun. It's also twice the radius of the Sun. This means that, with roughly the same mass, fusion is happening inside Methuselah much more than it is inside the Sun. This means that there must be some special nuclear reaction going on inside him. And this reaction is something we've never seen before. Previous astronomers estimated the age of stars by analyzing the elements inside stars. For example, the first stars were born at the Big Bang. There were no heavy elements in the universe at that time. It's just hydrogen. So a star that's all hydrogen is a first-generation star. However, since the first generation of stars has long since died out, so astronomers cannot find the first generation of stars that are still alive in the current universe. The 460 billion-year-old Sun belongs to the second generation of stars because it contains heavy elements formed before the death of the first generation of stars. This means that the Sun formed from the remnants of the first generation of stars and superstars. Therefore, the interior contains heavy elements. These heavy elements coalesced into the Earth and us. It is in the case of analyzing the elements inside stars. It was only discovered that there are almost no heavy elements in the interior of Methuselah. It contains only 1205, the iron of the Sun. This means that Methuselah appears to be a pure first-generation star. A first-generation star that has been around for 1460 billion years. As of now, the astronomical community's research on Methuselah is still ongoing. After confirming that the Big Bang theory is correct, now the astronomical community is already trying to modify this model of stellar evolution. In this way, the new age of Methuselah will also be corrected, at least no older than the age of the universe. See here. Now many of you might be wondering about the age of the universe. He didn't actually figure it out. It's based on actual observations, because the precondition of the Big Bang theory is that the universe is expanding. Galaxies are moving away from Earth. In this way, just combine the speed at which the galaxy is moving away from Earth with its distance from Earth. We can calculate how galaxies were in the distant past when they were inseparable from Earth. That was the time node of the Big Bang. From the first 15 billion to 1480 billion to 1370 billion. The age of the universe keeps changing. It's because our observation methods are more advanced. The 1382 billion is the European Space Agency Planck. The latest satellite data. In the future, this data may fluctuate around 13.75 billion years. But overall, it won't change much. In general, whether it is the new age of Methuselah or the age of the universe, It means that human understanding of the universe is still limited. In the future, with the deepening of human exploration of the universe, there must be more secrets waiting to be discovered by humans. The most powerful weapon ever built was the Tsar's hydrogen bomb. The shockwave from the explosion circled the Earth 3 times. It moved the entire Eurasian continent by 8 millimeters. So is there anything more powerful than him? Physicists believe that, crush the energy of matter and weapons, the explosive power of an antimatter is equivalent to that of an atomic bomb. Half a ton of antimatter could cause irreversible damage to the Earth. Completely shake the structure of the Earth. So what is antimatter? In 1928, British physicist Dirac suspected, except for the examples we have seen, there are also counterexamples with opposite Hertz. In 1932, American physicist Anderson discovered the first antiparticle and positron. It's the opposite of the anti-electrons that make up ordinary matter. This means they can cancel each other out and release energy. According to Einstein's special theory of relativity, any form of energy release is essentially a loss of mass. Can be explained by the intelligent equation 1 equals mc squared. It is because of this equation, atomic bombs are so powerful. Because atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs use nuclear reactions with intelligent conversion rates of a few thousandths of a percent. Before they existed, chemical explosives had an intelligence conversion rate of a few parts per million. It's just that the reactions between molecules can't be precisely measured. Therefore, the mass is equal before and after the chemical reaction. When the intelligence conversion rate of nuclear weapons is only a few points of 0%, physicists are acutely aware of the tremendous power of antimatter. Because 1 gram of antimatter comes into contact with 1 gram of normal matter, the 2 particles will completely annihilate and release energy. The intelligent conversion rate during this process is 100%. So 1 gram of antimatter is equivalent to 43,000 tons of ladder. That is the power of a typical atomic bomb. And here's what's even more amazing. Antimatter explosions do not produce any harmful radiation. All energy will be released on Earth in the form of light and heat and shock waves. In this case, it only takes 25,000 tons of antimatter to release 100,000 megatons of TNT. If 25,000 tons of antimatter exploded on Earth, his area will be reduced to pieces and flown to the depths of space. The remaining fragments that do not reach the first cosmic velocity will fall back to Earth to form more than 50. The smoke from the explosion will obscure the sky, rises into the stratosphere into atmospheric circulation. Eventually, this layer of dust will block most of the sun's rays to the Earth. Let the Earth begin a long ice age. Looking at the history of the Earth, only the dinosaur-killing asteroid 65 million years ago caused similar damage. Except the asteroid weighs millions of tons and move at high speed. Antimatter only needs 25,000 tons. But thankfully, party material is still a super technology for the current human civilization. Now, only some reactions can be generated in the high-energy collider. It would take at least $1,000 trillion to produce 1 gram of antimatter with current technology. Even if the United States does its best to produce at most a few grams of antimatter a year, as we said earlier, antimatter cannot come into contact with normal matter. Otherwise, it will drown. So it's very difficult to preserve antimatter. In order to maintain the existence of antimatter, often complex magnetic field traps are established. Word constraint. Make antimatter completely isolated from normal matter. But even so, the longest record for antimatter is only 10 minutes. How can it be used peacefully? A lot of people are also interested in the peaceful uses of antimatter because his energy is too great. If antimatter can also be used as energy for spacecraft, it only takes a moment of antimatter to send astronauts to Mars in a month. In comparison, at present we need hundreds of tons of fuel and half a year to send people to Mars. Therefore, party material will definitely become the main energy source for the future of human civilization, except this future could be hundreds or even thousands of years away. When Einstein published his general theory of relativity in 1916, to keep the universe stable, he deliberately added a cosmic length term to the attractive force equation to counteract the expansion of the universe itself. However, almost at the same time, astronomer Hubble in the United States discovered through a telescope most of the galaxies in the universe are moving away from Earth. And the farther away the galaxy, the faster it is moving away. This suggests that the universe is not static. It's expanding rapidly. Hubble's discovery has been announced. Albert Einstein in Germany couldn't believe it, and he went to see Hubble's work at the Mount Wilson Observatory. After seeing the red mud caused by the vast majority of galaxies moving away from Earth, Einstein reluctantly admitted that there was a problem with his theory. Then he not only deleted the cosmic tree and the generalized rural pair theory, and also announced to the world this was the biggest mistake of his life. After amending the generalized rural pair theory, it took Einstein to understand the nature of profit for humanity. Unlike Newton's law of gravity, Einstein's general theory of relativity holds that the fabric of spacetime is not flat. It is constantly distorted by the celestial bodies in the universe. Black holes are the product of the extreme distortion of spacetime. Later, Einstein lenses and attractive force waves are also essentially spacetime distortions. In the general relativistic model of the universe, three-dimensional space and one-dimensional time together make up four-dimensional spacetime. On a macro level, this four-dimensional spacetime shows the structure of B in hypersphere. All its celestial bodies are inside the hypersphere, flying at the speed of light in any direction in the universe. It all comes back to square one. It's like going around the world on Earth. To this day, Einstein's theory of general relativity and the Big Bang, it has become humanity's best tool for understanding the universe. However, Einstein did not expect to be killed decades after his death. And cosmologists have actually found something like the cosmological constant in the universe. That is to say, Einstein's original general relativity attractive force field equation was right. The only difference is, Einstein put in the cosmological constant to keep the universe stable, neither expanding nor contracting. But the new cosmological constant discovered by cosmologists in the 1990s, that's energy, has been accelerating the expansion of our universe, and it accounts for nearly 70% of the total intelligence in the universe by energy. It goes far beyond the small correction direction that Einstein set for the length of the universe. According to cosmologists' estimates, if 70% of the energy is correct, then our universe is going to expand faster and faster. Distant galaxies are also moving away from Earth faster and faster. One day, astronomers can't see a single star from the Earth, because they've all been carried out of the light cone by the faster-than-light expansion of the universe. Also because the expansion of the universe is accelerating, the density of matter in the universe will get lower and lower. This would cause some cosmic wall billions of light years across to break apart first. Then the supercluster will also fall apart. The entire universe will go from a web of fibers to a fragmented point-like structure. Under the expansion of spacetime driven by dark energy, the Milky Way will also disintegrate into pieces in the future, become hundreds of billions of stars scattered across the universe. Among them is our sun star. In extreme cases, the universe expands to the end. The solar system will also be divided, the Earth will become a planet without stars, can no longer be illuminated by the light of the stars. When the Earth becomes an independent entity in the universe, then the material structure is pulled apart and deformed by the expansion of space-time. At the end of the Big Rip, the molecular nuclei that make up matter, outer electron nucleus, even the protons and neutrons in atomic nuclei will be torn apart. The entire universe will be reduced to a basic three-dimensional state, depressed in endless loneliness. The topmost structure of cosmology is called the observable universe. It is an Earth-centered, spherical space with a radius 46.50 billion light-years. This range is also called the Hubble volume. Astronomers estimate there are at least 2 trillion weeks in the observable universe. The Milky Way is a drop in the ocean, 300,000 kilometers per second at the speed of light, and home in the observable universe. It seems to us that it takes 93 billion years to fly from one end of the observable universe to the other. In this case, we know very little about anything outside of the observable universe. The only certainty is that the observable universe is only a small part of the universe. A minute is a space-time scarf telescope that exists because of the speed limit of light. Current observations show that, in the boundary regions of the observable universe, there are tiny fluctuations in space-time and some end mud of curved structures. This might mean that, on a larger cosmic scale, there's something else we haven't found. The most detailed map of the observable universe to date is the cosmic microwave background radiation that was received as early as the last century. You can think of it as the residual path after the Big Bang. Only 1380 billion years. The explosion of light has been decaying and cooling from the high-energy peptides. Eventually, it became the current microwave state. The temperature is only 3K left. 0K is already close to absolute zero. So beyond the cosmic microwave background radiation map, the light from the galaxies cannot fly to Earth because of the faster-than-light expansion of the universe itself. And that's all we know about the microwave background. As for beyond the observable universe, there are currently 5 conjectures. The first is infinite cosmology. This theory proposes that our universe could be infinite, far beyond what we can observe. However, in this case, everything that happened in the universe must happen again. Because in infinite time and space, the permutations and combinations of matter are also infinite. In this way, everything that could have happened has already happened somewhere in the infinite universe. The second is the multiverse theory, that our universe is just one of infinitely many universes. As if the Milky Way were one of 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. The only difference is that each universe may have its own laws of physics. Even the laws of mathematics may be different. The third is explicit theory. This theory, it's science fiction, even among physicists at the cutting edge. Because he thought the basic unit of the universe wasn't atoms or quarks. It's millions of vibrating strings. The theory of hypervisibility that emerged from this invisibility even suggested that the universe has 10 dimensions. Except for the 4 macroscopic dimensions, everything else is huddled up in the microscopic. The fourth is the full cosmological model. He thinks our 3-dimensional universe might just be a projection of information on a 4-dimensional surface. It's like a 2-dimensional hologram that contains all the information needed to project a 3-dimensional object. However, information about the higher dimensions currently only exists mathematically. Lack of physical application. The final theory beyond the observable universe. It's the simulated universe, or virtual universe theory. He believes that everything in our universe is a computer simulation. It's like a brain in steel. All intelligent civilizations in the universe do not have free will. In general, It's only been a technology for 300 years. Exploring the history of the universe is only 50 years of intelligent civilization. Humans are still insignificant in the face of the universe. Sometimes I think I know the secrets of the universe. Only in the end did I realize that I didn't know anything. Rock samples collected from the moon suggest that it formed around the same time as the Earth. That is to say, life on Earth 380 billion years ago. The moon has been watching the whole time. However, if there was never a moon, what will the Earth look like now? Could life have been born on Earth? The current theory of lunar formation holds that it was born when the early Earth collided with an object the size of Mars. This celestial object is now called Tia. The fragments of his collision with the primordial Earth later condensed into the moon. So the moon actually formed from fragments of the early Earth and Tia. This is also why the age of the moon is similar to that of the Earth. The reason why the composition of matter is also similar to that of the Earth. And if the Earth hadn't been hit by Tia, his rotational speed and tilt will not change. That is to say, the Earth will maintain a level of rotation in 4 or 5 hours for a long time. Without the moon's attractive force disturbing Earth's oceans, the pristine interior of Earth's oceans would lack sufficient activity. As a result, large molecules cannot collide frequently to form life. That is to say, in the absence of the moon, it will be very difficult for the Earth to give birth to single-celled life near the underwater crater 380 billion years ago. Maybe the course of life didn't begin until 280 billion or even 180 billion years ago. In this way, the appearance of humans will also be delayed. When life cannot be born in a short period of time, the Earth, which rotates at high speed but has gradually cooled, will lose all seasons of the year because the tilt of the Earth's axis is not enough. Because the current 4 seasons of the year are caused by the inability of sunlight to directly hit various regions of the Earth at the same time. And all of this is due to the Batia impact. If the moon hadn't been born from this impact, all regions of the Earth will receive relative solar heat. The 4 seasons will clearly cease to exist. The craters on both sides of the moon today also show that he has fended off countless asteroid strikes for Earth. But without the moon, the Earth will face the asteroid. We can reasonably estimate, without the protection of the moon, the Earth would be hit by asteroids at least 1,000 times more often than it is today. In this way, even if life had evolved in Earth's oceans, then they would also be forced to interrupt the initial evolutionary process due to the impact of the asteroid. And the direct consequence of that is that life on Earth is going to remain at the threshold of life for a very long time. They're like trisolarans. You get hit every now and then. Everything has to start from scratch. In fact, for the current stage of human civilization, the moon is the perfect novice village, because it would allow a civilization with basic astronaut skills to be the first to land on the moon. Take the first step in space exploration, and Haiyuan on the moon is also the ideal controllable nuclear fusion fuel. From this perspective, the moon is a complete novice gift package placed next to the Earth. Humans are famous for colonizing the moon in the future, developing the moon, and use the moon as a springboard to travel to Mars and beyond the solar system. Judging from the current lunar plans of various countries, if nothing else, the United States will return to the moon again in the future. Our country will also achieve a manned moon landing by 2030. The next step is to build a lunar base, realize regular flights between the Earth and the moon, developing the moon for humans, make an indelible contribution to the moon. In general, the moon has not currently had any negative impact on the Earth, but without his words, the Earth will face many new threats. So the moon is actually as important to human civilization as the sun. Without him, there would be no stable evolution of life on Earth. Whether humans can be born is still unknown.